Hello subreddit Unresolved Mysteries. Longtime commenter, first-time poster here. I've been really inspired by the Redditors here who have taken on particular themes with missing persons cases, specifically /u/missing for their Missing in Connecticut series and /u/Beardchester for their Missing in Georgia series. I want to launch a regular series about an issue that I think is important and extremely underrepresented in both mainstream media and the true crime community more broadly. Missing women of color. As I think many of you are aware, there is an epidemic of missing women of color in America. The website Black and Missing is at least one organization dedicated to shedding light on this issue. You can listen to an interview with the creators of the site here. More information about the overrepresentation of women of color in missing person statistics can be found here and here. To begin this series, I want to start with a case that has really troubled me since I learned about it, Kanika Powell. Kanika is not strictly a missing persons case. Sadly, we know that she was murdered. However, I believe the complete lack of clarity surrounding the circumstances of her death warrants her inclusion here. Credit where credit is due, I first learned about this case via this excellent post. In 1998, Kanika Powell graduated from Largo High School in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. In 2000, she enlisted in the U.S. military, serving a term in South Korea. Upon her return to the United States, Powell worked first as a security contractor and then landed a job at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. It is hard to track down concrete information about what exactly this job entailed. According to various reports, the lab was responsible for more than 400 projects for Homeland Security. Powell held some kind of security clearance as a condition of this job, and apparently was fairly secretive about it. This Washington Post article about her disappearance includes the following information. Forrest said her daughter was a security specialist who would not talk about her work. Powell would occasionally leave town for a couple of days to pick up things for the lab, she said. I would ask her where she was going, and she would say, "Mom, you know I can't tell you that." The trouble which eventually led to Kanika's death began on August 23, 2008. Alone in her apartment, Kanika hears a knock on her front door. The man on the other side identifies himself as an FBI agent and demands entrance to her house. Kanika asks to see his badge. He cannot produce a badge. The man walks away. Kanika, shaken, calls 911. Although the police come to her apartment to investigate, they cannot find anything amiss. Remarkably, Kanika sends an email that same night to her friends and family, using her experience as a cautionary tale for other women living alone. I just wanted to share with you the scariest thing that happened to me this weekend. Saturday evening around 7 p.m. a man was knocking at my door. As all of you may know, I live alone. I asked who it was and he didn't answer, so once I got close to the door and looked out of the peephole I saw a male figure that was not familiar to me at all. I asked who he was and all he stated was that he was from the FBI and that he was looking for Kanika Powell. It freaked me out completely because this man knew my name. He held a shield up but no picture ID and he never gave his name. He told me he was looking for me in regards to an investigation. I told him that I had no idea as to what he was talking about and that he would need to show me documentation as well as a warrant of some sort. So he left and I looked out my bedroom window and saw him walking. I also heard a voice tell him to walk in the opposite direction. The whole situation was scary and seemed so false. So because of this incident, not only did I get no sleep for the rest of the weekend, but I am now trying to get an alarm system installed in my apartment. I had one in my old apartment, but I just hadn't had it transferred over to my new one. As far as everything that happened with the guy, I did call the FBI and they told me that it was more than likely bogus because they never come to your door by themselves and they always leave a card of some sort so that you can contact them. I called the local police as well to give them a description just in case someone is out there trying to rape or harm single women. Pass this on, ladies. This is not a fake forward. This happened to me. Kanika. Who knows who these guys are and what they are doing and in what areas other than mine. An important thing to take note of here is that Kanika heard a voice tell him to walk in the opposite direction. This suggests that more than one individual was involved in this initial encounter. Sadly, Kanika's ordeal does not end with this one terrifying encounter. On August 27, 2008, an individual claiming to be a deliveryman knocks on Kanika's front door and states that he has a package for her. Kanika wisely refuses to open the door. The man leaves, no packages left behind. The next morning, Kanika wakes to another knock on her door. Once again, it is a delivery man claiming to have a package for Kanika. Once again, she refuses to answer the door and no package is left. Kanika calls the police and although an officer does respond, This officer once again finds nothing amiss. After the police officer leaves, Kanika goes out to run some errands. Upon her return, she is gunned down in the hallway leading to the door of her apartment. She is rushed to the hospital, but doctors are unable to save her. To this day, police have no leads regarding her killers. Or at least, no leads that have been made public. I feel like I should end this post here because it's so long, but there are a few specific things which bother me about this case. A. The complete lack of progress regarding the investigation into her murder. Clearly, her murder was well planned out and premeditated. B. Kanika was a veteran and working in service to her country at the time of her death. Why isn't her case given more publicity/priority in light of these factors? C. A lot of the press I've read on Kanika's case have stressed the fact that police have ruled out any prior arrests or gang activity on Kanika's part. This seems fairly predictable given that she's both a veteran and a damn national security scientist. How often do you read about missing white women where the reporters take pains to point out that she wasn't in a gang? TL, Doctor, I'm starting a regular series of posts about underreported missing and murdered women of color in America. My first case is about Kanika Powell, a veteran and U.S. security contractor who was gunned down outside her apartment after repeated harassment and attempts to engage the local police. Added 2/u/Galant Blues tracked down some clarifying info about the nature of Kanika's job. In the Washbo article it says she signed her emails as Kanika T. Powell, Special Security, 13S448JHU/APL. Special Security Officer is a specific job in federal agencies/the military. TL, Doctor, a Special Security Officer manages other people's clearances and can suspend them.
Also, this case baffled me, but I really believe it has something to do with her secretive type government job. Seeing as how she wasn't robbed or sexually assaulted, just assassinated. Devastating when she took all necessary precautions and was so mindful and proactive, but still they got her.
I'm confused why people in the comments feel it's more important to defend reasoning for underreporting of POC missing persons by major news channels. Considering how large of a melting pot America is, literally every group of missing persons should be covered. That should be the goal. If you are aware of its disproportionate coverage, demand it to end. Regardless of X network looking for is consumers. The main goal is to bring closure and awareness to missing persons' unsolved mysteries. Thank you for posting about this woman. She and her family deserve answers.
Off topic, but she is so pretty. Okay, focus now. A few things I wonder, was she carrying, or did she have a registered gun in her apartment? I would imagine most ex-military keep something for personal protection. Perhaps they wanted to lure her out so she couldn't get to her weapon. Even if she was carrying concealed, this would make her arrival home the perfect time to attack. You know how we women are. Purse, 12 bags from the store, trying to dig out the keys. Also, what kind of weapon was she shot with? Was there not a single neighbor who was home and peeked out the window alarmed at a gunshot? Was a silencer used? Regardless of age, gender, color, criminal history, everyone deserves to be found to have justice served. Most everyone. I could care less if they find the murderer of a convicted child molester.
For starters, I believe the police dropped the ball on this one. If a man or woman had someone continuously knock on her and providing different positions of work in an attempt to get her open her door, they could have at least done surveillance on her house. With no mental abuse and a high-profile job, it shouldn't have been an issue. Secondly, my guess is that the murderer is a former co-worker. She didn't recognize the person, but maybe she affected his job in some dramatic way.
I think your point about the co-worker is a very good one to make. When I think of Kanika's death, I tend to imagine that it was ordered from above, that perhaps she learned more than she should have about a given project, etc. However, the tone of the email she sent does not suggest that she was cognizant of having gained any dangerous knowledge. She doesn't seem like someone who is paranoid about the higher-ups coming to get her. She seems like someone who was living a well-adjusted, happy life and was then blindsided by the sudden creepiness that entered into her reality. I still can't figure out what the hell Kanika's job was, but one thing that does seem clear is that it was prestigious. Security clearances aren't just handed out to any schmuck. That level of prestige can breed competitiveness and intensity amongst coworkers. I can imagine a scenario in which Kanika reported someone whom she considered incompetent for the job they were tasked with, and that person decided to take revenge.
As someone familiar with her line of work, it definitely had to do with her work. This is also the reason for lack of reporting in the media.
I really want to know what Kanika talked about to each of the police officers that came to her house. They would have had to complete a report which most likely contained a lot more information about each encounter, such as was it the same guy each time? Or was it a different person each time? If it was a different person each time, that implies that there were at least 4+ different people involved, which proves more of an organization killing than a lone gunman type killing. If it wasn't a lone gunman, that would rule out ex-boyfriends, disgruntled coworkers, etc. Also, I am really surprised that if her job was risky, they didn't offer her more protection. I worked at Target for a decade as a manager and had a former employee stalk me for a few months one year. The former employee really was harmless, but they desperately felt like they had to talk to me every day. Even then, we had action plans on what to do if they were spotted in the store. I was escorted to and from my car each day. We filed reports with the local police, so it was on record that this was occurring, and when I closed the store at night, the security guard closing with me would following me halfway home to make sure no one else was following me. And this was Target, which is not a really risky type job. It surprises me that if she suspected that her job was associated, that her job didn't offer more protection, support.
So, what do you think was the motive for Kanika's murder? Share your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.